This seems like a good moment to have a little bit of a deeper examination of strings and characters. We've been using strings and characters now for some chapters, and we are pretty comfortable, I guess, with some of their uses. But I'd like to go into a little bit more detail now to give a more solid conceptual understanding of both strings and characters, and to show you some extra library functions that are available to help you using such things. We'll begin with strings. The only things that I've shown you now so far for inputting and outputting strings are printf and scanf. However, there are many more functions available in the standard C library than just printf and scanf. I'm going to show you a couple of them. I'm going to show you some of the common ones. Now, scanf, you'll remember, is, well, it's somewhat complicated. We've got to use, if we want to use a %s, then it will only read in one word. If you put a space, then it will skip that. Remember that stuff? And if you needed to read in an entire line of code, all the way up to a new line, then you had to use that horrible %, up hat, \n, close bracket, all that stuff. It was really quite awkward. However, there's a much simpler function available called getS. You really just say, get me a string, read a line of text, one entire line of text from the keyboard, and it stores it in the string that you specify. It's a very, very simple function. And also, I should mention that it's actually much more efficient than scanf. Scanf is a large and powerful function. It can do many complex things. You only have to look at the manual page or the reference page for scanf to find out all the things it can do, and you'll find out it must be quite powerful and complex. And so it is correspondingly a little bit inefficient to use such a powerful function just to do such a simple idea. There's a much simpler function available. It's called getS, and I'll show it to you in just a moment. Correspondingly, there is a putS. If all you're trying to do is get a piece of text out onto the screen, and you don't need to worry about %ds or %s's or anything like that, you don't have any particular integers or floats or characters from variables that you need to output. If you just want to output a piece of text, you can use putS. Much, much faster, much more efficient than printf. We'll look at that in a moment as well. And finally, getS, as we'll see, it's a beautifully simple function, but it has a couple of issues, issues that can even cause your program to crash. I'm not saying that getS has bugs in it, it doesn't, but it's quite open to misuse. It's quite easy to forget how to use it. So I'm going to show you another function called fgetS, which is a slightly more complex version of getS. It essentially does exactly the same thing. It's only slightly more complex, and it's much more robust. It's much more easy to control how it behaves. fgetS is probably the most commonly used function in C for reading string input, either from the keyboard or from a text file. So I'd like to show you fgetS and show you some examples of its use. Just in case you're wondering, getS and putS and fgetS, they stand for get string and put string and file get string. That's what the F stands for, file get string. The F in scanf stands for formatted, and the same for print. Scan formatted input and print formatted output. Anyway, let's go and have a look at those three functions. This is string.c in the Chapter 7 folder. It's a very, very, very simple program. It just uses some printfs and scanfs to read in and output some strings. Now I want to change this program to use getS and putS. So let's see how that works. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to do putS in place of all printfs that don't have a % something in them, like %s or %d. So in other words, that's going to be a putS right there. And this, well, okay, we've got a little problem here, because we can't just do this. We can't just say putS by itself.